All right, looks like we're live. Sorry about the slight delay on the time there, everybody. Welcome to hopefully the revived Real Crusades History live stream. This is going to be called Coffee and the Crusades. So, got my coffee right here. This is the Battle of Hastings mug. You guys should pick one of these up from the Real Crusades History store. So yeah, Coffee and the Crusades. This is the idea here is this will just be kind of a casual thing we'll do a couple times a week for about half an hour over here on the live streaming channel, just to keep the community going and keep everybody involved and talking, and also to hopefully build up the live streaming channel a little bit as well. So yeah, I have not advertised a lot for this, so I wasn't expecting a huge turnout. I kind of just now decided to get this going again this morning. So I'm glad to see a lot of the standard Real Crusades History crew here in the chat. I see good old Chris Torres in there. I see D. I see a couple other new faces, looks like. Tom Griffin. What's up, Tom? Oh, and Tom is already helping me out. He's got a bunch of questions up there already, so that's good. But yeah, so I imagine you guys, hopefully everybody's been enjoying the videos on the channel. Just finished up the big Baldwin IV series. That was a big 4-part video series that I'm pretty proud of. I feel like we did justice for the Leper King, as he deserves. And let's and I know that probably one thing a lot of you guys are going to want to talk about is Knights of the Cross, which I do have some updates on that. Also seltzer water in the Crusades, I guess. You got your coffee for your hydration, or your water for your hydration. You got your coffee for your pick-me-up. So everything you need, right? Okay. So yeah, Knights of the Cross. Let me jump over to the website here. Okay, so here's the Knights of the Cross is still going on. We're still we are still working on that. This is the first time I've really talked about it in quite some time, just because there has been some uncertainty about, what's going to happen with the show. Let me see here. Let's share something here. Share. Wait, no, we want to share. I want to share the. Let's see here. We want a window. No, we want a tab. Yeah, here we go. That's the cross. So we'll share this. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. Okay, yeah, this is knightsofthecross.com. This is still the crowdfunding site for the show. Just to let you guys know what's going on. I mean, there was kind of a lot of uncertainty about the show over the last year or so. I do feel that the trailer didn't really turn out ultimately to do what we had hoped it would do. That was a learning experience, I think, for everybody involved. I myself, that was my first time being in a filmmaking project, and I was, I will say this: after having been there and done that, I do feel that I understand. Now I'm getting distracted by the chat. Anyway, where was I? I do feel like I have a lot better grip on the process of filmmaking than I did before that. So I do feel glad that we went through that, and I think everybody kind of came away from the trailer feeling that there was a lot of areas we wanted to improve. But the good news is we are actually going to film a pilot episode for the show in a couple of weeks. This is something we've been planning for a long time and been working on for a long time, and not really talking a lot about it, because we wanted to make sure, Austin and I wanted to make sure we really had our ducks in a row, and we're really going to be able to make this thing happen before we really started talking much about it. But we have a really good production team, who I will talk to you guys a little bit more about in the coming weeks. Essentially, we're actually using a real film studio for this, so that's good. But we got a great team. We've got what I think is a really solid script, which I have worked on in collaboration with the director. And yeah, it's we're gonna do it. We're gonna film it in this coming August. We've got the studio time booked, and it's gonna happen. The idea is gonna be, we want to produce something really good that's going to be there for phase 2 of fundraising, because phase 1 didn't really go the way we wanted it to. There were some issues, but we think that this time there's going to be a lot more impact from what we're going to create. I'm excited about the pilot. I think that we're working with a group who has done this kind of thing before, who has a lot of experience, doing something like this. So I think that I'm excited about it, but I won't say too much more about it. Just wanted to let you guys know that it is going to happen, and you can still contribute to the project. If you go to knightsofthecross.com, it will help us out if you contribute there. But again, the big thing that's going to really happen is going to be once we film this pilot and release it. So yeah, that's the plan right now. I won't go into too much more detail, but it's going to involve, I will say this, it's going to involve Richard the Lionheart, of course. And we've already got it cast, and I really like the cast that we have picked out for it. And it's going to be about his illness and kind of him confronting, some of the hard decisions around what it means to be committed to the crusade versus his obligations as a king, his secular obligations. It's going to delve into some of those psychological issues, I think. And my goal is for it to really capture something about medieval spirituality. So let's all get excited for that. And Sam right here is going to be involved in the filming. So good for Sam. What's up, Sam? Okay. Another thing too, I am trying out, let's see here, Power Chat Live, and I've just kind of been delving in it. If you guys look in this is a new method for super chats. If you go down to the description below, you guys can see the link for Power Chat Live. That's one option for doing super chats. I'm kind of hoping to sort of build that up over here on this streaming platform as we get going with this show. But yeah, this is something I want to start doing every Tuesday and every Friday, just as a chance to kind of talk to the Real Crusades history community and get you guys together. The time is going to be, again, Tuesday and Friday, 11 a.m. U.S. Central Time, 12 noon Eastern Time. So I think that's still early enough to justify the coffee aspect of the show. Although if you guys are like me, you drink coffee well past the morning. When you're making videos, it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to have coffee. All right, so let's check out the chat, see what you guys are saying. We'll go for about 15 more minutes. This won't be a super long stream, but I'm glad everybody's here. This is kind of the core crew, it looks like. This is from August Bliss. I'm watching from the beginning, just returned home from a visit out of state. Hope everyone is well. Really enjoyed the Baldwin series. Relieved about Knights of the Cross. Thank you, August Bliss. Yeah. The Knights of the Cross thing. I mean, I think it has been a learning experience for both Austin and I. I mean, we got a lot of passion. We're very dedicated. But it is Austin's first time making this kind of a series. I mean, I think his background is more in commercials and doing that kind of filming. But he wants to do it, and he's very dedicated, and I am as well. So we're going to keep fighting for it, and I am excited about what we're going to film next month. I think it's going to be a huge step up from the trailer, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing that happen and seeing what you guys think about it. Let's jump over to some more stuff in the chat. All right. So this is our good buddy Chris. He says, did St. Catherine of Siena call for a crusade to Pope Gregory the 11th? She did advocate for crusading, from what I remember. I believe she wrote in some of her letters, she talked about the need for another crusade. I don't remember too specific in terms of who she was writing to. I think she wrote even to a few mercenaries or some individuals like this, and kind of talked to them about how crusading was the thing that Christian warriors should actually be doing. All right, we got some stuff from, let's see here. And D says, please elaborate on the role of the hospital after the Templars were dissolved. What's going on, D? Glad you're here. Well, I mean, the Hospitallers, after the Templars were dissolved, the Hospitallers kind of became the order that took over a lot of their properties, that took on a lot of their personnel. A lot of former Templars moved to the hospital just because it was such a similar order. The thing I think that's helpful to remember is that the Pope dissolved the Templars, but that didn't mean, unlike in France, in France, of course, the king arrested all the Templars, or as many as he could, and took over their property. Outside of France, of course, that wasn't possible. The Pope basically dissolved the Templars because he was forced to do this by the King of France. He couldn't really oppose the King of France at that time. And in places like, Castile and Portugal and, England, all over Christendom where there were Templar houses, in these places, because the church was dissolving the order, the king would go along with it, but the Templars were not mistreated. They were not imprisoned. And a lot of them just kind of voluntarily went over to the hospital. Some of them just left the religious life and just, quit being monks altogether, but some of them continued. And yeah, Tony here. Oh, that's a dramatic question. I think, is this our good buddy Scott here? I recognize that cat face. Tamara is a city in Portugal founded by the Templars. Yeah. The Templars were very, very active in Portugal, as a lot of people will know, especially if you've watched some of my videos about this topic. In fact, Alfonso the Conqueror, the first true king of Portugal, was a kind of a secular member of the Templars. He was an associate member. So yeah, there are places in Portugal today you can visit where there are strong remnants of the Templar presence there. Kitty is Scott. Okay, what's up? What's up, Scott? Okay, and August Bliss says, I am excited what I would give to be transported, if you will, to the Middle Ages. Will you see his siblings, Knights of the Cross? Okay. Okay. Wow, this is a great question from Scott. In the big picture, why did the Crusader states ultimately fail? Just to kind of put it simply, I think we can just say lack of personnel. The Crusader states were always understaffed. They never had large enough armies to really dominate the region in the way that they probably should have to have maintained power there. I mean, that's kind of a simple way to put it. But yeah, I think that You know, if Latin Christendom had sort of joined together and organized a very large occupying force to hold. I was thinking one of my kids was about to burst in here, but anyway, to occupy that region, then I think that long term it would have been easier to hold that territory. But the interesting thing is how long they did hold that territory. I mean, they had uh, they had a lot of territory in Palestine and Syria for a long time, and that was due to the effectiveness of the castles, the effectiveness of the governments in these regions, because uh, and our Muslim sources kind of confirm this, but the institutions in the Crusader states were more robust than what was found in the Muslim world. In the Muslim world, you didn't have um, so much these specifically state type institutions, as you had kind of these different tribal loyalties. I mean, like you think about Saladin's empire, and it was essentially a confederation of various emirates and tribes that he was able to kind of bring together under his umbrella. That's kind of different than the institution of kingship that you saw, like in the Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem, or the institution of like the Prince of Antioch. These were a lot more concrete things that even when they suffered a major defeat and they lost a lot of territory, that would still exist and could sort of be remarshaled as reconquests took place. And I mean, the Third Crusade is a perfect example of this. I mean, essentially, the kingdom of Jerusalem was destroyed by Saladin, but because of because the institution of the High Court continued to exist, the governing body was never eliminated. And with Richard the Lionheart's victories in the Third Crusade, they were really able to reestablish that entity. Even Jerusalem wasn't a part of that for a long time, yet it was still the kingdom of Jerusalem as they thought of it. So, okay. What else do you guys want to talk about today? Oh, this is kind of interesting. Chris brings up, was there a Norman state in Anatolia between the Battle of Manzikert and the First Crusade? Yeah, it's funny that you should mention that, Chris. I recently reread, after many, many years, I read in its entirety Princess Anna's book, The Alexiad, our favorite Byzantine princess and the first female historian. Was she the first? I think she was. Is she the first woman to write a proper history? I believe so. Maybe there was somebody in classical times who did before that. But anyway, not to get off on a tangent. The Alexiad, Anna Karenina. One of the things you realize, and this is all about her father, Alexius I, and his reign as a Byzantine emperor. And one of the things you realize is how thoroughly Western the Byzantine army was. And what I mean by that is there were so many Latin mercenaries in the Byzantine army. There were Normans. There were a lot of Normans who were working for the Byzantines. There were Anglo-Saxons, of course. They made up the Varangian Guard to a large degree at certain times. But there were generals in the Byzantine army who were Westerners, and of course there were also a lot of Turks too. So I mean, that's the thing to remember about the Byzantine army post Manzikert, is that it was heavily mercenary. It was heavily made up of troops from the east and the west, especially Turks on the one hand, but also Latin Christians, and that included Normans. And so we just kind of realize, and as you're reading Anna's book here, and you look at Alexius's different battles, you see how often he relied upon his Western knights, his Western cavalry, to bring him to victory. This is something I think we don't often think of. I mean, you think, and this kind of makes sense too. Like, remember that when the Crusaders first arrived during the First Crusade, and were first entering into Syria, or even before that into Anatolia, a lot of the local Muslim powers thought that this was just a Byzantine army. And, you can see why they would have thought this because the Byzantine armies were already so heavily Western. So there's even one part in the book where she's talking about, I guess there was a conspiracy. I don't remember specifically what was going on, but there was some conspiracy, and her father's officials were interrogating one of the conspirators. And she talks about how they had some barbarians there to kind of intimidate this conspirator and make him realize, I better talk. And, when she says barbarian, of course, she's talking about the foreign mercenary troops who were so prominent in not just the Byzantine Empire, but the Byzantine administration. And so, I mean, I can almost imagine like this was probably like a Norman or somebody standing there, just kind of standing over this Byzantine official's shoulder, intimidating this conspirator, So yeah, as much as the Byzantines feared and despised the Normans, they employed them and they were in their army. But to get back to your original question, Chris, I don't remember his name, but yeah, there was a Norman kind of renegade who I think had been previously in the Byzantine army, who established like a little statelet out in Anatolia somewhere and was kind of a thorn in Alexius's side for a while. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. I think we've got to remember that the Byzantine army was heavily reliant on mercenaries, and a lot of those were Westerners. And especially after Manzikert, a lot of those guys even begin to rise quite high in the ranks of the Byzantine army. So there you go. Something else I've been reading lately is my good friend Helena Schroeder's excellent book about the Crusades in the Holy Land, in particular about the Crusader states. Kingdom at the Crossroads of Civilizations by Helena Schroeder. She and I are going to do a live stream together. When's that going to be? That's going to be let me look on my calendar here, August 16. So that'll be on this show. But yeah, we'll be talking about her book then. You guys should pick up a copy. All right, so let's jump over here and see if any of you guys have tried using this Power Chat Live thing. Okay, not yet. Okay, somebody go down below in the description and send me a Power Chat just for fun. Let's just see if it works. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. And then we'll close things out for today. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, again, just for those of you, this is kind of a small group here today, I know, but you can go to knightsofthecross.com. We'll be announcing more about this pilot episode we're filming next month. And you can even help out the show a little bit if you want to. Nalu says, hello, Stephen. Long time no see. Just popping up to wish you the success you deserve with this series. Well, thank you, Nalu. I appreciate that. And Sam here says, I know several people who study Byzantium who like to downplay or outright deny Western influence on martial and material culture in the East. Any opinions on that? I think it's pretty hard to deny. I mean, the West was very heavily involved in Byzantium. I mean, there were a lot of Westerners living there. They were in the army. They were even in some of the upper administrative positions. I mean, the Byzantine army was heavily Western. It was almost a Latin thing. Okay, this is fitting. So Chris says he sent me a super chat. Let's see if it worked. Power chat feed right here. There we go. Okay, Scott and Chris sent one. Thanks, guys. Okay, Chris says, hey there, Stephen. Have you collected any Christian icons? I have not yet, Chris. Well, I should take that back. When my wife and I went to Greece, we did pick up a couple, and we do have those in our home. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chris. So yeah, the way that works, I want to start trying to use this. Everybody's using Power Chat Live now for super chats because they don't take any cut of it, and it's pretty direct. It's just through PayPal. So as I start building up things over here on this streaming platform, on this new channel, which I do, I don't know, maybe I'm I'm kind of obsessive, but I really want to have a separate streaming channel from the video channel. And I know, it's tempting to just always stream on the other channel because it has so many more subscribers, but I want to try to get more people pointed over to this channel. I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of OCD of me, but I like the idea of having a specifically streaming platform, a channel for streaming and a channel for videos. Is that weird? You guys tell me what you think. I don't know. I think it makes sense. But yeah, that's going to be the idea behind this particular show, Coffee and the Crusades / Ask Me Anything About the Crusades, Tuesdays and Fridays, 12 noon Eastern time to 12:30, 11 a.m. Central Time, US to 11:30, just kind of a brief informal hangout a couple times a week to kind of talk about things, talk about what's going on with the channel, talk about our progress in Knights of the Cross, hopefully, as we continue to progress with that. So yeah, we're going to keep doing this. I'm going to interview people. Helena, I think, will probably be my first guest on the show. She will be with us soon. As I said, you guys can mark your calendars. That is August the 16th. Helena Schroeder will be here to talk about her new book, which I've already read, Kingdoms at the Crossroads of Civilizations, about the Crusader states. And one thing I like about this book is it's very well sourced, but it's also very readable and enjoyable to read. And one thing I like too that Helena does is she comments about the history as she's going. Like, she doesn't just give you the facts. She likes to also provide some analysis. And I think that historians who shy away from that, you kind of, oftentimes you're curious, well, what do you think about this? What's your opinion about how this shook out? So it's kind of cool to read her analysis of various situations. And Chris says, are you thinking of inviting other people to a live stream? Yeah, I want to have as many guests as possible join me at this time. But again, I want to make it consistent. This is a good time for me. I have small kids, so evenings is really a bad time for me, as anybody who has small kids will understand that. So I'm going to try to do kind of like almost like a mid-morning coffee talk type show is what I want to do. Which works well. I mean, I'm in the middle of working on videos, and I can kind of take a break and talk to people as I continue to, down gallons of coffee in an official Real Crusades history coffee mug like this one, which does the Battle of Hastings. I don't know. I think that turned out well. I imagine the Norman court ladies who sewed the Bayeux Tapestry, they never would have thought that someday their work would be on a stylish mug like this one here. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's probably pretty good for today. We will pick this up again on Friday. You guys can join me next Friday, same time, or this coming Friday at 11 in the morning. And let's see. Scott is saying that he read Kingdoms and he likes it. Good deal. Okay. I guess I'll check the Power Chat feed just one more time, just in case. I don't want to. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad I finally have started using my Power Chat account, because I made it a long time ago, and now it's going to be used. So, D is saying here that Baldwin wanted Guy hanged for seducing Sibylla. Yeah, I mean, we kind of. One thing that does seem apparent is that at a certain point, Baldwin IV was like, yeah, I'm not okay with this Guy guy. He did everything he could to get rid of him. But, there was strong legal precedent that prevented the king from just like grabbing somebody and having them hang. So this is a different time than, by the time we get to King Henry VIII, who could just, cut his wives' heads off whenever he wanted. So, okay. Well, you know what? Okay, since I started late, I'm going to go another 30 seconds just to get that full half hour in, because I want these to be fully half-hour shows. I know this is very informal this time, guys, but I think as time goes on, I'll get a little bit more formal each time. But maybe it's good to do it this way. The videos are pretty formal, they're entirely scripted, so maybe it's good to kind of have something that's very casual over here on this channel. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's it for now. I will talk to everybody on Friday. It's good to touch in with everybody and catch up a little bit. We'll see you next time.